And we're live, baby. Yo, what's up, everybody? Yo, welcome and a welcome to the 56th episode of the In Your Face show. And and I'm with my main man, my brother man, a kick ass brother man, Robert Jefferson. Take it away, my brother.
How you doing tonight? How you doing tonight?
I'm doing awesome, brother.
Great to be on the show, man. Thanks for having me.
Welcome, my brother. You're welcome. So, what do you want to tell the people? What's your introduction to the people? You know what I'm saying? The people want to know.
Oh, well, all right. Here we go. My name is Robert Jefferson. I am a third of R4 Films, a quarter of Four Brothers Studios, uh, producer, editor, director, writer, sometime actor, and all around just filmmaking guy. Just I like to make interesting things for people to watch, and
Right, right,
hopefully
right.
people find those things interesting.
I feel you, man. I feel you. You know, see, I think it's very interesting when you're doing multiple things at once because that makes you a very valuable, very versatile person. You know what I mean?
It comes out of necessity. You gotta, when there's no one there to hand it to you, you have to figure out how to get it done yourself.
True that, true that. I've been through that myself.
Hmm.
So, bro, like, yo, like, where did you get the inspiration to be an action star? What was your
Uh, a producer of action movies. I wouldn't say an action star, but an action guy. Childhood, man, probably the same place you did. Comic books on one hand, and kung fu movies on the other. They were like they kind of came in my world at the same time, and that was just it for me. Anything
right?
Spider-Man, Batman, X-Men, Daredevil, and then Channel 29, Channel 48 every afternoon, every Saturday afternoon. Anytime they show kung fu movies, I was watching them in the back in my mom's room, pretending it to be, Five Deadly Venoms or all that stuff. And then I just never stopped doing that. I guess is the point.
I mean, hey, I used to watch Power Rangers. You know what I'm saying? Thundercats,
Hmm.
Top Cat, uh, I said Power Rangers, right?
Yeah.
X Men, Spider Man, all that good stuff, man. So I understand where you're coming from, but see, I'm an '80s baby. You know what I'm saying? I'm an '80s baby. Yeah.
Hmm.
We got the Thundercats, we got the X Men, we got the Spider Man, we got all that. You know what
Yeah,
I'm saying?
I was coming up in early '80s, late '70s. Like
See, man.
I had the kung fu movie era. The 42nd Street in New York, Gerard Avenue, 52nd Street here in Philly. They would show kung fu movies. That was the thing. I pretend to be kid with the golden arm and all this stuff, and
Oh
do
shit.
fake kung fu and in my playroom. I just you know always just loved that world. That in the comics just always combined for me.
Right, right. So I've always wondered, right?
Mm.
Like I wonder about this. Who was your top five favorite all time action heroes and kung fu movies?
Kung fu movies. Wow. I mean, you got Alexander Fushang, behind the scenes, uh, Lau Kar Lung, um, Gordon Liu. Let's see. Of course, Donnie Yen, Jackie Chan, Sammo Hung. I could go on. Like, there's definitely more than five, but that was six. So I cheated a little bit, but yeah, that would round out probably. where I would take it.
Yeah, I mean, because I've always, I've always watched kung fu movies and action movies. You
Hmm.
know, we get the like the new guys, like, but I wouldn't say they all new. I would say I wouldn't call Jason Statham new. I wouldn't call him new. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
I wouldn't call what's his name, Michael J. White new. I wouldn't call him new.
No, he's definitely not. He's been around.
Yeah, I wouldn't call like what's this guy name? Jim Kelly, because I remember watching Jim Kelly movies.
Oh,
And
Jim Kelly is that '70s era. May he,
yeah, man.
maybe he rest in peace.
Yeah, man. Uh, I remember Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was in the Bruce Lee movie.
Oh
Was
yeah,
in
that's Game of Death.
yeah, man.
Hmm.
Like I remember that like it was yesterday because I used to watch him with my uncle, and he loves kung fu movies. You know what I mean? And I used to watch them all the time because I always wanted to learn how to speak Chinese and everything and Japanese and stuff. So I used to sit in front of the thing and because they used to sound like morning,
Hmm.
and their face don't be acting the way it Ching Chang don't be young, but it's not. But the face don't be matching up with the voice. I'm like, how the hell do they do that?
Well, it's because usually, if you're saying that and you're still speaking Chinese, it's because there's Mandarin and there's Cantonese. So a lot of times the movies are shot, I think, in Cantonese and then translated into Mandarin. So even though they're still speaking Chinese, it's not the Chinese that's being spoken in the actual voiceover. I might have that backwards, but it's either one or the other. It's like they either recorded in Mandarin and then dubbed into Cantonese or the opposite. I think it's the first one, but that's why that is. If you ever wondered.
Yeah, because I always wondered because I've always wondered like why they were always the way the face movement and like if they're not saying it's like lip singing and everything.
Hmm.
And I'm like, but and the words be coming a minute later. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because they're not the same language. It's
Wow,
it's dubbing one language on top of another, and then they sell to different territories like that.
awesome. So on a movie set, right?
Hmm.
Is some of the props real, or some of the props is most of the props fake?
Oh, it's all fake. I mean, especially nowadays, you can't have real guns, real swords, none of that stuff. You would die. Like at the pace that things move in real time, even as stunts go, one slip, it's the end. You sell it with sound effects and lighting and camera angles
Mm.
and good prop work. You got to have somebody who knows how to do good props. And you have to recognize good props and then know how to film them as well. The movie
Wow.
that I'm promoting right now, Shadow Fist 2, has a lot of the subtitle of the film is Axe Gang. So as you might imagine, there's a lot of axes in the movie. So we had to get um, we did have a real axe. So I guess come to think of it, I kind of have to go back. You do have real stuff around or real weight stuff, but it's not what's used for most of the shots. That stuff is for close ups. If you have to see a guy with the shotgun, and you zoom in, it might be a real shotgun with a stock in the barrel or something like that. But when you see them firing, it's not. Especially after what happened with
Bruce Lee.
Brandon Lee, and then more recently uh, Alec Baldwin.
Oh wow.
He there was a movie they were filming called Rust, and it's a cowboy movie. And you know what? Again, that makes my earlier answer incorrect. They were using real revolvers, and apparently no one checked the barrel, and he fired and shot the DP with a real bullet that was in this, or a prop bullet that was in this gun that was loaded with it had some gunpowder in it. because when you use the ones that have that actually have the muzzle flash live on set, that's still gunpowder. It's like the only way you can do it, but it just doesn't have a slug in it. But
Right.
sometimes if there's an obstruction in the barrel, accidents happen. So going forward, you probably won't see too many more live fire action movies. You'll probably see a lot more stuff where they're fake guns and then muzzle flash put in post.
Mm. See, because have you ever done like have you ever? I've noticed that you ever seen it? Did you see that thing in Terminator where they went back to where John Connor was small and he's
Mm-hmm.
big? How do they do that?
What exactly are you asking? How
Like,
do they do?
okay, you know how John Connor, the dude that played John Connor, is grown, right?
Right?
But in the movie they have young now.
Oh yeah.
How,
Well, casting. You fight. You look at a bunch of pictures of people who look like the actor that originally played the part, and then you match it up. If and then sometimes they do a really good job. Sometimes they find somebody that's like, wow, he looks just like this person as a kid. Sometimes I think what they do is maybe even get childhood photos of the person and then try and you hold the photo up and you look at a kid. Does he look like the photo? He'll probably sell.
I always thought that they use synthetics, like something like makeup and like stuff like that. I always and nowadays people movies use 3D and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Computers are a part of it too. There is a technology that ages people, but I don't think you can make an adult into a child. I guess you could, but it would be easier to just hire a human child that
Yeah,
looks like the actor.
yeah. That's I've always wondered about that because I'm like, the hell, how do they have that happen? And and it's weird, it's crazy,
No,
but
I get it.
yeah,
That's the type of thing that we take for granted. Being in the film business, like going to film school and then learning about how things are done. It's kind of like being a fan of magic and then knowing how all the tricks work now. Like you kind of start to take it for granted. Like yeah, it's just man, just put a guy over there. They just tape a bunch of cats together to make this happen. You know what I mean?
wow, it just it made me wonder, like, damn, you know, movies are actually evolving. You know what I mean?
Oh, all the time. All
And
art forms are evolving or dying, one or the other.
right. So, like, okay, and what type of movies do you see coming up on a rise? Like, what kind of
Hmm.
art style is coming up on the rise? In your thoughts?
I think people are starting to um, thirst for good storytelling again. I
Hmm.
think I see you know the Marvel era maybe I won't say phasing out, but superhero movies are starting to become less interesting to the public. So there's going to be something that's next, and you know it, I think it's going to involve good stories. Whatever it is, it's going to involve good stories. That's the thing that makes anything action, anything science fiction, any cartoon. It's always the story that brings you in.
Right. I mean, you know, that's why I said, do you feel this way? Like, when it comes to action, right?
Hmm.
You got to have a good story and good acting later, or good acting and or a good story. Which one do you think?
They're equally important. I've seen situations where bad actors ruin good stories, and good actors made mediocre stories great.
Okay, okay.
The interpretation of a script is an art form unto itself, as is creating the the story.
Hmm.
So they go hand in hand.
Right,
You can have a great story, but if the people don't, you know, who are acting in your story either don't understand how to interpret it or just aren't good at their craft, which is a thing, it cannot work. Likewise, you know, I think I'm talking myself towards good actors might be just a little bit more important
right, right, right.
because you'll watch somebody with charisma damn near read the phone book. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
So in terms of actual films like movie making and like filling seats, probably actors are every bit as important as story, if not just a hair more,
Mm.
because that's the lens through which you know your words are being interpreted.
So, in your thoughts, right? What is the worst part of doing a movie?
The worst part, um,
The most stressfulest part, the most hardest. You know what I mean?
well, those, but those are you've asked me three different questions. Those are
I
three
know,
different
I
answers.
know. I just like to, I like to throw them all up in
Um,
there, a little something.
the worst part might be um shooting on location, maybe like the elements. You know, having to shoot a scene in the wintertime, like actually outside in the cold, that
Hmm.
sucks. Um, you know, shooting something in a hot place and it really is hot. But if you love making a film, that's to say worst is really just kind of relative. You know what I'm saying? Like
Hmm.
it's still not bad. I would take that over, you know, being stuck in a cubicle for that same period of time, being uncomfortable and sweaty or cold or whatever the case may be. But yeah, I would say maybe that's maybe the worst part. Um, the hardest part is probably ensuring that the idea that's in your head makes it to the screen. Like there's a lot of stuff that happens from hey, I have an idea to the movie goes off and you're rolling credits. Like there's a whole range of stuff. You gotta write it down. You gotta show it to somebody. That person has to be like, yeah, this is pretty good, and then you guys have to agree, and then you have to hire people to help you make it. People to interpret it. Those are the actors. Hope that they're good. Hope that you can direct them right. Hope that all the elements come together. None of it's easy. And I mean, if it was easy, as I like to say, if it was easy, everyone would have Oscars. There would be no bad movies. You know what I mean?
Right, 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 right.
Um, the most stressful was the other thing you asked me was showing it to people for the first time. If it's something that you're taking a chance on, like for example, the movie that I'm promoting now, one of the movies I'm promoting right now, Jugando con Fuego, which is on Vimeo right now. Um, find us at Jugando con Fuego. The code JCF 2022 gets you a discount on the rental. Please go rent that. It's a dynamite movie starring Bobby Samuels, shot by Nicholas Ortiz, produced by myself, and Shadow Fist 2, which is what I'm actually referring to, which is about to be shown at the Newark Film Festival and at Urban Action. Um, and we'll be having it for sale on our Vimeo channel coming soon, which is more of an homage to old school kung fu movies.
Awesome, awesome. You know, let's bring that back. Tell us about the Iron. Tell us about the Iron Fist. What do you see? What's your? Is it Iron Fist or?
Oh, Shadow Fist.
Damn, I keep
Yeah.
forgetting the name. Shadow Fist. Shadow Fist. Okay. So tell us about the Shadow Fist that makes you so excited about it. What's about Shadow Fist that makes you so excited about
Um, because we took a chance. It's sort of an experimental film in its genre, and we didn't really realize it was as experimental as it is until we showed it to some people. and they pointed out some things, and then we took an idea that we had and kind of just kept pushing it to see how far it would go, and we came out with something that people are telling us is rather unique and enjoyable. So that's what makes me excited. Is I tried a bunch of stuff I've always wanted to try. My business partner Bobby Samuels that you had on here earlier tried a bunch of stuff that he wanted to try, and our other partner Reese Tanaka had some great ideas about music. That's another thing that makes me excited about this movie. I actually, for the first time in life, have a film that I'm putting out that has a theme song. Our third partner, Reese Tanaka, is a hip hop producer, music producer, and a graphic design guy. Go figure. Um, all this, like you say, we do all kinds of stuff all at once, right?
Right,
So
right.
we had a conversation a while back about um, possibly getting a group that he worked with, guy named goes by the name of Weapon ESP, another cat named Logun, and another dude named Ghost of the Machine. They made this album last year that he produced, and they wanted to like we had an idea to do like a hip hop like almost like a new wave Wu Tang type of thing where it was a tie-in to one of our like kung fu movies, period piece style type thing. You know what I mean? And we talked about it, and then they went out and they made it happen. And the song is like amazing. It has write ups on its own separately from the movie, just as a piece of hip hop art of itself, which is pretty amazing to me. That's another thing that makes me excited when I realize and I play through, from editing, I'm playing through the timeline. I get to the part where here's a secret too, guys. If you come out to see Shadowfish 2, there's kind of a tiny music video at the end of it, so stay all the way to the end. It's worth the watch. That that as much as the kung fu movie, like I'm also a hip hop head, so that for me is like just enjoyable in itself. And
Okay.
the mixture of old school kung fu vibes with like newer school stuff like Jet Li type movies, Donnie Yen type movies, all the stuff that we're influenced by anime, hip hop. You know what I mean? As I said to you off air, this was sort of like the inspiration for some of Shadow Fist was Afro Samurai and just anime in general, but that's specifically because of the, I guess you would call it, anachronistic nature of seeing African American characters in period costumes for a Chinese kung fu film.
Hmm.
So, oh, we also have some tracks in there by the Bull Collective, who's another good brother who's helped us both on Jugando Con Fuego and on Shadow Fist 2. Some of his beats are in that movie as well. He has sort of like the theme, the opening theme, and also a couple other fight scenes. We have some of his beats behind, but it's a mixture of score music and hip hop and old school cinema and all this type of stuff. And it was fun to make, so I'm excited for people to see it.
Right, right, right. Oh man. So from Shadow Fist, you told me that it's right up my alley. What does it have like a comic feel to it?
Um, yeah, I would say so.
Okay, okay. So
I'll tell you this. I did a Marvel homage with a post credit scene.
okay, okay, awesome. Hmm. I gotta see that. Nah, so when it comes to you being as prevalent in the movie industry, do you feel that a lot of people are very lazy in the industry? They could do more, or do you feel that people are very into it, like hands on, more hands on?
Oh, you really can't be in the movie industry and be lazy. It just doesn't work. It's it picture the movie industry as a giant swimming pool. It's like 15 feet deep. It's only thing you can do is climb out or sink. but you have to keep treading water. That there's no if you don't you sink. It's just that simple. So the people who are lazy, you've never heard of.
Right.
So
Exactly.
I don't know who to refer to. Everybody that I know is always doing something. Always doing something.
Right. Right. Now, the reason why I asked is, I've seen a lot of movies that were mediocre and subpar. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like it looked like it was rushed instead of take the time onto it. You know what I mean? Like if they came out with a Spawn movie, right?
Hmm.
It would be. I think it would be very time consuming to work on that, and I think it'll be. It's time for another one to come out, so I think it'll, what I'm saying, be just in time. You know what I mean?
I, I think they are doing a Spawn movie actually. I
Yeah.
think I heard something about a remake of that. But see, I mean, it's all about what you're into. You, I'm quite sure being in the comics, when new stuff is coming out that I probably won't know. That
Right.
I follow a lot of film stuff, so I see things coming out. Um, you know, because they it comes to you when you search it on social media. But in terms of what you're saying about some films being mediocre, it it's such a especially like a movie with a real budget, like you're talking, $10 million and up. You're talking dozens and dozens, if not maybe close to 100 or more people. You look at the end of a Marvel film. There's hundreds of people just on the screen alone. There's more that you don't know that are part of the process. So my point is, you can you can have a great thing, and once it's filtered through all the people that go into the process of making a film, it might not be so good anymore. It happens,
Right. Right.
especially in a theater, in a big theater release. Like
Mm.
stuff that comes out. But then there's also the business of it. There's also the business of why they make films. The
And that,
films are about money.
right,
Like
and
big.
that's yeah. That's why I said when it comes to like football. Okay, when I don't know if you're a football head, but I'm a
I watch
football head.
football. Yeah. Hmm.
Okay, it's a saying that football is 80% mental and 40% physical. Now think about it. Like just like when it comes to business, like
Right.
movies, you just said it. It's more business than it is technical and fun, and you know what I'm saying. It's you got to get through the business stuff first before you can get to the fun and all that stuff. Because if
Hmm.
you don't get done the business stuff, you fucked. And somebody, in some way, if you don't have the real good actors, I'm not talking about the name brand ones. I'm talking about the real of some real good actors. Real good actors cost money. You know what I mean?
It
Well,
it put like this: name actors cost money. Good actors can be talked into a project if it's worth their time. That's the thing that we learned coming up through you know making independent films.
right,
I
right, right.
You got to study your craft, and in studying my craft, I realized read a book once that said, "quote make actor bait, write roles, write monologues, write dialogue for actors that they would want to say that would be fun to do for them for one, and uh, a great clip for their their reel as well. You got to think about there's that you got to think about stuff like that when creating without a budget. You know what I mean?
Mhm, mhm. And I've always wondered, right? Because being in the movie industry, you know what I'm saying, in Hollywood,
Mm.
is it like okay? Let me ask this question: is it as egotistical as do you have some egotistical people you work with that you just be like, damn.
Um, I mean, there's egotistical people everywhere. There's egotistical people on the bus going to the mall. But um, in terms of on movies that I've worked on, no, not really, not really. And it's that and if it is, it's never the people you think it's going to be. Like the people you expect to be like, you know them from all these shows and whatnot. And you're like, oh, well, this guy's is this person. Those guys are usually the nicest people. They're usually super cool, especially if you approach them, you know, like we're two humans. Like, hey, how you doing? See, I saw you in that thing. Whatever, whatever. Just wanted to say hello. They'll be like, oh yeah, man. Glad you're a fan. The next thing you know, you're having a conversation with somebody that you saw, when you were a kid, and something that's one of your favorite things. It's an amazing thing. That again, like the laziness question, I think that the people who are egotistical don't last long
Right,
because this is such a communal process. Like again, you look at the end of any movie with a budget, it's just people and people. After the actors go by, there's still just pages and pages and pages of just people that work on it. It's what I mean. It's like a little city of people who are all working towards this one thing.
okay, okay. So being a director, was there ever a emotional time directing a movie that you worked on?
Um, no, not so much like on the shoot of it, but more so because I'm more of an editor producer. Like I do direct, but I'm more of an editor and a producer. So directing is for me. I usually do very specific things. Let's put it that way. When I'm directing, it's usually very specific. I'm more technical, um, and usually the work for what you see that goes on screen happens before we start rolling cameras. Usually the actors, if they're doing their job well, has prepared for what they're about to perform before we get to it. I'm just more so, and this is a secret of I may be telling it for people who direct, like, no, shut up. But you're more so guiding them into helping tell the story than crafting their performance. That's really the actor's job, to make choices about what they're going to do. But for me, in answer to your question is the most emotional moments are usually when I we've edited something together and it works, and maybe it works a little bit better than what we thought it was going to, and it's like we had a lot of those moments on Shadowfist too, just doing things with cinematography, doing things with edits and things that we tried that we didn't know was going to work until we did it, and then it worked. That's an emotional moment, like when you take a big chance and it really pays off. That's a very good feeling. When I show it to an audience and they dig what we're doing, and I hear applause for something, or you know I'm sitting in the theater with people watching our movie and they laugh at an intended joke or gasp at something that was supposed to be scary. Those are the moments that are emotional. When you're in it and you're making it, you're there's too much nerves try and there's too much adrenaline to really feel particularly emotional. You know what I mean? It usually comes after you've done the work. You know what I mean?
Hmm. Okay. Okay. So, what was the biggest movie you've ever been on? Been in?
The biggest movie I've ever been on was probably the one you have here up in the corner. That way, there we go. Uh, Made in Chinatown, working with Sopranos and Lo Mang from the Five Deadly Venoms, Chu Chi Ling from Kung Fu Hustle, uh, all these all these great actors in this movie. That and you know when I was talking about meeting celebrities. Oh, Raymond J. Barry. You don't know. I bet you don't know who Raymond J. Barry is, but you've probably seen this guy in a bunch of stuff. He's like an older dude. You ever see what's that movie? Walk Hard, the Dewey Cox story. It's one of those. It's a comedy.
I think I saw them.
The
What year
wrong
did it come
kid
out?
died. The wrong kid died.
What year did it come out?
2004, 2006. It's along the lines of like those Will Ferrell comedies, but it's like
Oh, okay, okay.
it's like a fake Johnny Cash movie. It's a guy that was supposed to be kind of like Johnny Cash, and you see him come up through the 50s, and he meets Elvis and all this type of stuff. But it's like it's one of those type of like raunchy comedy type of movies, and he
Okay.
plays the main character's father in that. He played a character on another show I watch, Justified. Like if you watch a TV show like every week, like and you
Hmm.
see somebody like they become like you know somebody that you're looking at like, oh man, that's that guy from that thing. Then you
Right.
meet that guy, which Raymond J. Barry was in Made in Chinatown. He was like super cool. Like we were having like I had to arrest him too. Like when I say I act every once in a while, I like to jump into stuff just to put my face in there, you know. But I like being behind the camera. But then sometimes I get to do cool stuff in front of the camera, and when that's the case, like I can act. I like to jump in. They had me come on screen at the end of the movie, and I arrest him. So that would have been awkward if I hadn't have seen him, off stage and be like, "Hey, Mr. Barry, saw you in." Yeah, and he has like a famous line in the movie where the the main character has a brother that he accidentally chops in half with a machete because they're playing around as kids, and his father stays mad at him through the whole movie. So every once in a while, he just gets in his face and goes, "The wrong kid, Dad." So I see the guy. I'm talking to him. It's what he's known for, and I'm like, yeah, I saw you, in that movie, yada yada yada. Like, it was really funny. It's one of my favorite comedies. And I said, the wrong kid died. And he went, the wrong kid died. I was like, oh shit! Like he did the thing in the moment. It was like that made it pretty cool. Like being on there with Vinny Pastore that I watched on The Sopranos and all these mob movies. He autographed he was in Shark Tale as one of the sharks. He autographed a picture for my kid and mailed it to my house.
Awesome.
I run into him like at conventions and stuff and chop it up and we laugh and joke and elbow each other. I can't that what I would say is probably the biggest movie in that respect.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So, who is the most? What's the worst five movies of all time that you hated the most? That was just so over exaggerated. Five worst movies you've ever watched. Ever.
Oh no, I can't. I can't do that. I can't just go down and just destroying people's work. That's not cool. You can't do that. But I'll say some things that I saw recently. I didn't I didn't enjoy very much. I was very disappointed with the last Matrix.
Yeah, it was. It was
Not for
not
me.
as pull in. It was not as pull. It didn't pull you in as much
I,
as the last two did.
you know what? I don't think it was supposed to. I don't know how much you know about what's going on with Warner Brothers right now. I don't know if you have HBO Max, but they're tanking a lot of shows for some sort of a tax write off. And I just thought about this tonight. I have a feeling that last Matrix was. I said it when I saw it. I was like they're trying to kill this franchise with this movie because it wasn't good. Excuse me. the thing about that movie and why I feel comfortable to talk about it, even though I just said what I said, is you look at a formula for success, right?
Right.
You talked about football earlier, right? So let's make it a football analogy. You're winning games with short runs. I, I don't know why, but every game you do short runs. You know what I'm saying? You
Mm-hmm.
you're making scores and you're setting yourself up for those passes to the end zone, right? Now you
Mm-hmm.
have a big game next week. So now you just eliminate the short game and just go with just crazy passes, just nothing but hail marys for the rest of the whole most important game of your season. Why do you do that?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
It's like that's what a lot of people do. Like, cause when they see, it's like this. Okay, they see. It's like, for example, okay, you have the Rams. All right, you have the
mm,
Rams, then you have a team like the Bills, right? The Bills are known for their running rather
mm,
than their, what I'm saying? Bills are known for their running rather than their, what I'm saying, throwing.
passing. Mm,
And the Rams have a good defense.
mm,
Stop the pass, what I'm saying? So why not? See, and a lot of people go away from the run so quick,
mm-hmm.
what I mean? And that's what hurts the process of the game. You know what I'm saying? Slow the game down with the running, and then set up for the pass because you're going to open up. Because when you're running the ball, you're opening up the passing lanes.
Right.
You
Mm-hmm.
know, and because they're going to get tired of you running the ball. They're going to get tired and throwing passing that rock. They're going to get tired of running. So somebody's going to be open. They have to they have to put another man in a box to stop that run.
Right. And so my my analogy was knowing that this is what Matrix 4 was. They first of all they didn't hire any of the team that did the action for the first three movies to do the fight scenes for this movie. Right there, people would show up for a mediocre movie with amazing Hong Kong wire work and action sequences. And then the story was overly meta for no reason. But they're even telling you in the movie, if you really pay attention to the storyline, like Warner Brothers is preventing us from doing certain things and this and that. And you didn't understand it when it first came out, but now that they're doing what they're doing and selling off bits and pieces of the company, you know what? On second thought, I'm crazy. I didn't think of any of that. I didn't mean that, Warner Brothers. If I disappear, don't don't I don't want to. I don't want to be the guy to actually figure it out, like on a podcast, like be a knock at the door. I'd be like, stay. Hang on a second, Daniel. Let me. I just don't come back.
They wouldn't
But
do that.
no, no,
See,
no.
the
I
reason,
don't know anything. But
yeah,
that and that Snake Eyes movie that came out are probably the two movies recently that jumped out at me. Like I like it, and I like the people in both those projects, which is the part that makes it hurt. Like I like everybody in both those movies. I was like, yes, I'm here for this, and then you go see it. The Snake Eyes movie too was like they made ninjas boring. That's hard. That's hard
yeah, it's
work.
very hard. It's a lot of talking, a lot of talking, a lot of talking.
Did you see that? Did you see the Snake Eyes movie?
Snake
Would
Eyes
you
is my
would
favorite. Snake Eyes
right?
is my favorite GI Joe.
Of course,
Ah,
everybody's favorite GI Joe.
yes,
That wasn't it though. That wasn't it though. Tell me I'm wrong.
you alright, yeah, man, you alright, yeah. Okay, Snake Eyes. See, I always wondered, right? Because What was the beef between him and the guy, the other ninja, the white ninja?
Storm Shadow.
Yeah,
No, that's what that movie was about. But if you walked away from it feeling that way, then that means they didn't do their job. The whole thing with that went on the arc of that storyline is what's supposed to have precipitated the beef between that's what that movie was about. But it just didn't do a good job of of setting up stakes.
Yeah,
See,
that's like for example, that's like Black Panther being a big box office movie, right?
mm,
But look at part two. It's not. I'm telling you, it's not going to make it. It's not going to make it to that big box office because some of the I just it's just some of the taste of it has been taken away. You know what I
mm,
mean?
but that's only one element of a film. It
Right.
the other element of the film is you they just might not be showing you the parts that make it a good movie.
Right.
Ryan Coogler still has to bring it home. You may not understand how the elements that they're showing you right now come together, but there still could be something worthwhile in there. I mean, it might not be. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying that's but one aspect of it, and really that shouldn't be the most important aspect of it. Is Chadwick Boseman and all this. They should still be able to tell a good story. I personally can't imagine how, but that doesn't mean that it's not possible.
I
That's
mean,
what's fun about art.
yeah. See, this is the thing. This is the
Excuse me.
thing. This is the
Yes,
thing.
mm-hmm.
I've always, I've always did comics and read comics, you know, like for the grit in the fight scenes. You know what I'm saying? I've always
Mm-hmm.
read them with a what am I going to get next type of vibe from it. You know what I mean?
Oh, that's the whole fun.
Yeah, like Wolverine. Okay, you know he going to stick his claws in somebody right after. You know what I'm saying? It's another. You know you're gonna bump into Sabretooth soon, somewhere around there. You know what I mean? And the what I liked about the Wolverine, the way they did Wolverine is in a way, I'm gonna say in a way. I ain't gonna say all the way. In a way, they stood true, kind of to the comic, you know, style, right?
They did, but see, there again is the difference between and the connection between a good actor and a good project. I still don't think they've made a great X-Men movie yet. The
Right.
best one they made, the best two they might have made is like
Part two,
um
part one,
I won't even
part
say
two and
that.
one.
Days of Future Past and X-Men First Class were probably two of the better ones that they made. That and really outside of that, the first one, the first two, but they weren't. The first one was just okay to me, and the second one was really good in certain sections. Like everybody loves the White House scene where Nightcrawler's possessed by the Magneto chip. He's going crazy, disappearing and bamfing in and out, and just and messing cats up inside the Oval Office and all that. That was that was a fun scene, but it wasn't an overall for me as a fan satisfying movie.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What you as you know, or maybe you don't know, that's what the MCU is. The MCU is basically uh, Kevin Feige and them didn't have uh, access to the X Men because Fox owned it, so they needed another property, and they did what probably should have been done with the X Men. Like imagine the first thing you ever saw from Marvel films basically was a Wolverine movie, and then they made like let's say a Cyclops movie, or maybe a Cyclops movie with Jean Grey in it. You know what I'm saying? Then the third movie that would come out in the property would be like the X Men, the actual X Men movie. You know what I'm saying? Then they would make, I don't know, a Beast movie where they brought like Kitty Pryde in and Colossus. Like building it up like that instead of just trying to throw you an X Men movie with 40 or 50 years of context behind it that you're trying to cram into 2 hours. It's not possible. And that's why the only way forward for that type of stuff is for them to follow. we're gonna bring the X Men, you have to follow what they're doing with the MCU already. Is trickle them in, get you used to the character in some way, and then build a property that has that, you know,
Right,
that
right.
storyline to it.
See that's the whole deal because I think I don't think they should come out with a Cyclops movie. To
Yeah,
me,
maybe not Cyclops, but you know what I'm saying, like a
or
single
yeah,
character.
yeah, yeah. Like nor I don't cause see I don't see Cyclops and Beast as like appealing characters. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
But when you heard about the first Iron Man joint, you probably were like, eh, until you saw it. Then you were
Right,
like,
right,
oh shit, hold on a second. See,
right,
that's the power of good filmmaking.
right.
That, that
But see, as they was doing the Iron Man movie, like the Iron Man 2, 3,
mhm,
4, and all that 5, it got watered down as they did it, and it became to me it became PG, and to me it became PG more the more they did it, and I'm like, and the Iron Man from the recent Iron Mans that they came out with wasn't as gritty and fun as the Iron Man that been came out years past.
mm.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
I
well, you got to
yeah
sell tickets to kids. that
yeah
that's he goes back into the business. You got to sell tickets, man.
yeah.
So
I mean
yeah, but they, if you notice, they picked and chose the grittier storylines. They installed into the Avengers. If you notice, as the Avengers went on, the
hmm
grittier the storylines went to half the population was snapped out. They killed Tony Stark in the one, like, you know what I mean. He died. You can't get much
hmm
more grittier than that.
right. I mean you can you can but show some more blood, but
Not in that context. Like that's it. See, that becomes another aspect of the game now. You know what I mean? Like it,
right right right
it
right
certain ratings come with less ticket sales. PG is probably the most. PG and PG-13 will sell the most tickets next to G, and then R is last. So you're always sort of fighting against an R rating unless that's really what you're going for, like Deadpool. Deadpool was a hard R, but it's a thing unto itself, and that was a chance that they took. It just happened to be good, and because it's good, it got word of mouth, and people went to see it, so they made a second one, and that turned out to be good. So they're making a third. You know what I
right
mean?
right.
That works when it works.
But okay, the way they did Venom, dog, I just was pissed off
Yeah, well,
because
that again, that's licensing. Venom. I know what you about to say. I'm sorry, I mean to cut you off. Say what you about to say. What you about to say about Venom?
no, no, no. Go ahead. Go say what you're gonna say because I know you're thinking of what I'm gonna say, but I
Yeah.
want to hear what you said.
So that's a licensing thing, right?
Right.
What is Venom without Spider Man? Like,
Mm-hmm.
Venom's existence really is through the context of Spider Man. So
Right.
with so we don't we, you already have an origin story that you don't use, right? And then
Mm-hmm.
a whole other range of stories that kind of happened way further down the line after Venom became like a kind of a staple character. But without Spider-Man in that universe, there's really no context for Venom, and it's hard to make one. So you get that movie that you got.
Right. 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 And
Like it.
go ahead, go ahead.
Oh, even the second one with Carnage was slightly better because you at least had a foil, but still, without the very powerful context of Spider-Man, it falls flat. Joker did it because it told a story that had never been told, which is a deep backstory of how we got to the pre, even still the pre-Batman stage, and it dealt with a whole bunch of psychological issues and all this stuff that and nuances that Venom's character does not have.
Right.
So unless you're just they found somebody who just wrote this amazing script, which is very rare. Like, here's this whole new idea for Venom, which you can't get now because Joker already came out. So there's really nothing else you can do at this point with one of those type of characters until someone does it. If that makes sense.
I mean, I would, I would come out with my own. I would come out with my very own Magneto, because Magneto is a beast, and like, tell Magneto's story. Magneto had a story. Magneto was a beast,
Oh
and
yeah, and Magneto does have his own storyline. That would be an interesting movie. That
yeah,
would give you a lot of. But see, again, you run into the business side of it. There's rules to this. Like, can you make a Magneto movie? I don't know. It actually is a good idea what you just said. That would be because you could do so. There's so many different storylines you could do. Like
yeah,
the whole Genosha Island thing where he had
yeah,
all the what I mean.
yeah. And you know what's crazy too? Like, you can take the first class storyline and make it into, and take half of that storyline and take it into a back storyline. You know what I'm saying? And during the first part of the movie, have him be young as the young Magneto, right? And then play it all and go take bits and pieces from the take bits and pieces from the part two of X-Men, and then part one of X-Men, and then add those elements.
Now, if you're gonna do something like that, you would have to take a beloved storyline of from the comics and do it justice. I
Yeah,
don't
that's what I'm saying.
I don't think anybody would want to see a rehash of what's been done in the movies that he's been in already. You would have to to me I can't see any of that stuff being um, popular or really interesting. If I'm being honest, without some storyline from from a run of comics that people really enjoyed, and then you have to do it right. Like you mentioned the new Black Panther. I think Samuels. What up, bro? Nice interview. What up, Samuels? That's my business partner. Um, yeah, I think you would have to. Oh, I was saying Black Panther, right?
Right.
So I think that storyline is the war between Atlantis and Wakanda from the comics is part of that storyline, and I think it's also supposed to be introducing Doctor Doom, but if there's a problem, it's that to me I think they're doing too much setting up for stuff that's coming and not telling stories like right now. Like tell me a story right now, and you can refer to whoever you want to refer to in the future. But tell me a story that's interesting and fun to watch now.
That would be fun to watch, or that is fun to watch.
That would be fun to watch. It's fun to watch. That's fun. That's enjoyable.
I would say redo the Punisher storyline, and retool it, and get some good actors, right? Get some good actors, or because like they did the Avengers movies, right?
Hmm.
They had some good actors in those Avengers movies. Why can't they go all out for the the B shows? You know what I'm saying? Like the Luke Cages and the Punishers and
But I like John Barenthal as the Punisher, and I like the my man is Luke Cage. What is I can't think of his name, but I actually like the guy that plays Luke Cage. I've kind of accidentally followed his career for a bit because he actually showed up first in the end of Men in Black 3. You ever seen Men in Black 3? No one has,
hmm
but
hmm
you know the whole thing about Will Smith's father in that movie being the Air Force colonel or whatever. So when you see him as a child at the end, that guy in the uniform, the dark skinned man that plays his father with the whole military outfit, that's Luke Cage in that scene. So I think Luke Cage was done well. I think Daredevil was done really well.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's my favorite. And then from there it got sort of diluted. That again, you look at the one that no one likes, which was Iron Fist. They hired the guy from Game of Thrones, which is cool, but you skipped the step. You didn't teach him real kung fu, or which to me I think would have made more sense. You could have still had that guy teach him a little bit of kung fu, and then the Iron Fist wears a mask, so then have him go hiya, and then cut, and then there's a stunt guy in a mask who can do the kung fu and sell it, and then we cut back. He pulls the mask off, and it's the Game of Thrones guy. Problem solved. But to have him David Carradine his way through that show was just nobody liked it. Like nobody liked
That's what I'm
it.
saying. See, that's what I'm saying.
So it's hit
Like,
and miss.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, for example, um, if you're going to do something, I would say bring Gambit out. Gambit from X Men. Like, give Gambit
They
some.
were supposed to. They were supposed to have a Gambit movie. You
Yeah,
know
they
who's supposed to
was.
play? The what's
Uh,
the boy name?
I
Dude
forget
from
his
Dude
name.
from Magic Mike was supposed to play him.
Yeah, what's his name? Channing Tatum.
Channing Tatum. Yep.
Yeah, he wanted to play the Gambit, but I guess they shelved it for some reason. Um, but
Money.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
always
but
it's always money.
yeah, but see, also too, when they had Gambit in the fucking Wolverine movie, he didn't look the part. To be honest, he did not look the part. Like,
Oh yeah, he was. See, I forgot they he was even they even had a Gambit in that.
see, they didn't. They just fucked him up. He didn't have a. Oh, the Gambit that I grew up with. Listen, I grew up liking. He he was more he was more of a kick ass. This Gambit wasn't like, I don't know. It didn't say Gambit to me. You know what I'm saying? Yeah,
Well,
yeah, yeah.
that whole movie wasn't very good, to be honest. The only real good the Wolverine movies got better as they went on. Like the one where he Wolverine the Origins was okay, and then Logan was really good. Logan's a movie I'll watch over and over again. Like if it's on, I'll watch Logan
The
because it
one,
because you finally got the Berserker Wolverine in that movie. Even
right,
though he was old and decrepit and dying, you still got you know a taste of old man Logan and a taste of Berserker Logan when he gets that chemical in his blood. That was fun to watch. But where's
right.
my whole movie like that? Like that's my thing. Like that's the problem I want to solve if I can get my hands on the right budget and all the elements. Is like there's so many movies that in those genres that do a piece of it right, and then the rest of it's just like like Batman versus Superman, right? Out of
Yeah,
all the Batman stuff that I've seen, this is just my opinion. I've said this on other shows too. Like the 5 or 6 minutes or so where at the end of that movie where Batman goes in to save Superman's mother from the kidnappers, and the Batmobile comes up to the window and he comes up through the floor and he's throwing guys around the room. I want that as a whole movie. That's the Batman movie I want, where he's using the grappling hook to like pull himself around the room and snatch guys off and stuff. He's clotheslining cats into the wood, hitting cats with boxes, uppercuts, blocking. You know what I mean? Using Batman shit. You know what I'm saying? Like you
yeah, that's
don't. I
Batman.
I still have not seen that movie. The Dark Knight trilogy was pretty good. Pattinson was okay, but to me, say what you want about any of the rest of the Justice League, any of the rest of the Batman versus Superman. That 5 or 6 minutes, Batfleck really kicked ass. Like he really did his damn thing. I
Man,
want
but
I want that movie.
see, the thing about it is too, or what I always never really understood is why do they fucking make Superman so fucking overpowered? I always thought that Superman was overrated.
I mean, he may be overrated, but that's the story of Superman. He's super strong. That's the deal. To me, I always thought I was never the biggest Superman fan in the comics, but it's fun to watch in the movie. It's fun to watch a guy fly around in the movie. They just still haven't done him real justice. But that Zack Snyder Superman movie was actually kind of hard. That they actually you actually had stuff happen that collateral damage, and he's fighting more than one superpower being that you know gives is giving them like a problem. But what they still haven't done was stop retelling. Every time you see Batman or Superman, they do the same thing. They retell the
Right,
origin story. Like, okay, I'm good. We got that. Right. His
right,
parents died in an alleyway behind the movie theater or an opera. Whichever one you choose, it doesn't matter. Now he's a vigilante. He's got a butler. We get it. Just go do some Batman shit now. Can we just have that
right,
movie where he's already Batman and he's doing Batman shit that we've seen throughout all the cat. He knows karate and ninjutsu, and he has a grappling hook that he swings around on, and sometimes he hovers on the cage. You know what I mean? Give me all those
right.
elements, and then a good story. Show me a Superman movie. Wouldn't you go see a Superman movie if it was just he's already Superman, he's already at the Daily Planet, he's doing the thing, and then Brainiac comes, or the dude from World War World, or some big bad that you've seen in the comics that he's fought. They gave him a hard time. Doomsday, the actual,
Doomsday.
give me the actual Doomsday. That wasn't it in Batman versus Superman. Like, give me that actual storyline. Stop shying away from that stuff. Whatever it is, Lex Luthor, but just a later story where he has the mech suit. And, he's bringing bad guys from another dimension to cause it. Just something where we're not holding our hand, like, you know what I mean. Superman. He comes from another planet and you landed here. Yes, yes. Yawn. We get it.
And,
Let's just show up midstream. Supermaning. You know what
right,
I'm
like
saying? That's the movie
it's
I want.
it's crazy because like I've always wondered like they never really showed the Doomsday. They never really gave like if you're going to do villains, make them look like villains, make them look the part. Like, dude, like I just never understood. Like, um, I forget what I'm trying to say. Like Doomsday, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think Doomsday looked like the Doomsday that would that was in the comics, or do you think that they should have took
It
another
wasn't.
step?
It wasn't the Doomsday that was in the comics. It was their own invention. They tried something different, but that again is a money decision, and it goes through different departments. Somebody had to draw it, and then somebody else had to approve it, and then somebody else had to 3D model it, and then they had to show it to a bunch of people, and they all had to go. And then Zack Snyder was like, I want him to feel more like this and less like that. I mean, all that stuff happened, and then you get what you got. And then there's probably some licensing for that character where you can't necessarily use these parts of the story because we didn't get the rights to that. We could be sued for this, like what they're doing with Lord of the Rings. They from what I'm hearing, there's no hobbits in Lord of the Rings. They're called hardfoots or something like that. Because they didn't have certain rights to certain pieces of the story because of the last section of movies, the way the rights were sold. Certain names and certain things were sold, and certain other things weren't. So the same thing happens even more with comic books. You know what I mean? You have to have the right to the story. You have to have the right to the character. You have to have the right to the overall intellectual property itself, and they all might be three separate things. You know
right,
what I mean? So that's how you wind up getting, you know, you'll get an X-Men movie, but like, with no Professor X in it because we can't show him in this because we don't have the, you know what I mean? You get a
right,
Superman movie, but it's not Lois Lane, it's Lois Dane. Like, but we know who she's supposed. You know what I mean? You that they
right.
the properties are broken up into so many weird pieces that you have to, like, it's all super like legalese and litigiousness of, like, how to get the rights to something so that you're not sued for putting it in your movie.
Right. True, true that, true that. That is a oh my god, I don't get it. I don't they just fucking it all up. But
but
it is
but
what it
that's
is.
all the shit you have to think about, like, when you sit down to write a story. Like, has this been done before? Am I biting something? Is this, you know what I mean? Could I would love to make a Batman, short, because I feel like that's one of the things I would just always wanted to direct as a Batman film, or like a Daredevil movie or something like that. Like a street level hero where there's like that merge between martial arts and like that comic book fantasy would be a great fun thing. I feel like, for the way I make films. You know what I mean?
Like let me ask you something. Like how much do how much do actual short films like miniseries cost compared to a big movie?
That there's no single answer to that. Um, but I can give you my answer as from a producer standpoint. The trick of filmmaking at any level is making the most out of the money that you have. So at my level, at our level, with me, Nicholas Ortiz, Louis Orlando Cal. Oh, I do this every time. I'm sorry, Orlando. Mess your name up. You keep changing them. Um, and Bobby Samuels, Reese. We The trick is take $5 and stretch it into 100. That's always the trick. Whether you have $1 million or whether you have $1,000, the trick is what to spend that money on to make it look expensive, and
Right,
what can you do for free. There's stuff you can do for free, and there's stuff that you have to pay for. And things you have to pay for are like permits, sometimes actors, sometimes it's never the same. Sometimes, like, let's say you want to do a cowboy movie, right? Well, you need costumes. That's a big concern. So you got to figure out how much you need for costumes, and how much that's going to cost. That determines the scope of what you can do.
unless
Uh,
unless you're a hell of a sewer.
eh, then you run into the factor of time. It,
Yeah,
it's much better to get costumes that are already made than to try and create them, because then that's now 6 months you're not shooting a film, you're just making costumes. Like, everything is something to think about. Like, but here's another way to answer your question. Lord of the Rings, that I just brought up, that television show for Amazon Prime, $1 billion for that series.
how much?
It 1 billion with a B, a
And
billion.
what movie was this?
It's Lord of the Rings, the series.
Oh wow.
But that's because it brings all the elements that you've been asking me about on the show. It has locations, it has actors, and it has costume, and it has visual effects up the yin yang. It's just packed full of just all the stuff, and they went ahead and they spent $1 billion on it. I don't think there's any movies that cost that much, not yet. I think the Avengers is probably one of the last Avengers is probably one of the most expensive movies, like 350 million or something like that. But they make it back. They make it back in spades. Spider-Man, No Way Home, that might be another one, because of, because of you have Tobey Maguire, you have Andrew Garfield, you got, you know Tom Holland, all in one movie. That then you have Doc, Benedict Cumberbatch playing Doctor Strange. Well, you brought Jamie Foxx. That movie must have been crazy just on actor budgets
Uh,
alone.
uh,
Just on salaries alone, that had to be crazy.
that's woo,
But I think a
woo.
billion is the highest number. I think I heard that on the radio yesterday morning.
But let me give you a sec. There's a segment on the show,
Mhm.
60 seconds to promote your product, promote what you got coming out, and also you got 60 seconds to give advice to the people that's coming in or people that's watching that really enjoy what we're doing that really what you're doing that really is thinking about doing movies.
All right, I'm gonna go backwards. Advice to the people: give up now. There's no hope. No, I'm just kidding. Um, no, the actually the opposite of that. Keep going. Keep 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 pushing forward. Keep getting up tomorrow morning and doing it again. Um, be honest with yourself. If you made something that wasn't up to your own standards, uh, do better. Learn your craft. Be the best at whatever it is that you say that you do. Understand who's supposed to be the best in your field, emulate them, and then try and do better than they did, and then rinse and repeat. Get up tomorrow morning and do that shit all over again, and just never stop. Because you never know what tomorrow's going to bring. Today might be horrible, and then tomorrow you wake up and somebody's written something beautiful about a piece of art that you created, and you remember why you're doing it all over again. Um, that said, please look out for Shadow Fist 2 coming to the Newark Film Festival and Urban Action Showcase, respectively on September is it 9th, I believe, is the Newark Film Festival, and November 4th and 5th. I may be butchering these. Is Urban Action Showcase. My partner Bobby Samuels is ambassador of Urban Action Showcase. Um, Also, Jugando con Fuego is already available on Vimeo on demand. Use code JCF 2022 for a special discount. And please watch those films. I think you're going to like them if you like action. I think you're going to like them maybe even if you don't like action. Uh, Last story in further promotion of Shadow Fist as well. I showed my 80-year-old mother the kung fu movie that we made. She does not watch kung fu movies. She doesn't like them or understand them, but she loved this movie. And probably it's the first movie that we've done that she really had some emotional reaction and connection to. So it gives me a great deal of hope for what the audience at large is going to think when they see it. Go see Shadow Fist 2 and Hogando con Fuego. Support R4 Films and Four Brothers. For support Deviant Children. Support Team One Take. Support Swashbuckler Studios and my boy Jose. Support Reese Tanaka. Support Weapon ESP, Low Gun, and Ghost of the Machine and all their projects. Support my man Collective Ben Sanchez, man. Just and thank you if you're watching, if you're enjoying what we're doing here, and thank you, King Daniel, for the invite, man.
You're welcome, my brother. Always welcome. Oh yeah, you heard the man. Do your due diligence, baby. Support. Hey, but also thank y'all for tuning in today. In your face show. Yo, and I would love for y'all to subscribe to the channel if y'all love the content. Y'all keep telling me that y'all love the content, but no subscribe.
You gotta
So
subscribe.
gotta subscribe to the channel. It's on the only way. It's the in your face way, baby. Get with the program, everybody. I'm just joking. But nah, though. Help a brother out. Let's all grow together. It's all love. And we out of here. Peace.
Peace.